um, in Northwestern, the nickel mining.
You see, Aka, one thing that we need to know is this president means business. And this mining, nickel mining, it will be the biggest in Africa. And this is because the president is thinking ahead. It's just that, you see, I think we need to report President Hakainde Hichilema to police for him for not being in office for longer, for earlier than this. You see, because we started talking about the issues of electric vehicles. And there he said, look, since there is already this, let's make sure that the nickel will start because it's one of the key elements that we use in electric vehicles. And there is 250 million US dollars that has been pushed in. No wonder when you check the kwacha right now, Aka, I can assure you the dollar is dancing to a kwacha. And that's what's happening. Very soon, when we tell you to say, I get 5,000 kwacha per month as my salary, it will be same equivalent to $5,000 per month on a month very soon on a monthly basis because of the investment that President Hakainde is pushing in. Already we have other things that have been started by FQM, where there is about 1.2 billion a kind of investment that they are planning to expand in terms of the Karumbira mine. And not only that, today the Kalene Hills factory for fruit making, every year it was year in, year out. When it's time after the rain season, when the fruit starts, we are complaining, no, look, mangoes are going to waste. No, look, pineapples are going to waste. No, these are going to waste in Northwestern. The factory has stayed dormant for years and that. But look, this president comes and say, let's make sure that this we actualize and make sure that we sign contracts with the small scale farmers. How many jobs have been created? A lot of jobs. And I've liked one thing about President Hakainde Hichilema is making the middle class. In Zambia, we didn't have the middle class. We had the rich and the poor, and the rest of us we were poor. Now the president is making the middle class because it's the middle class that holds the economy of any country.
You're right. You're very right. Mr. Mkwilimba, what's your comment about the nickel mining and also the Kalene Hills fruit factory?
Well, that's really great news. Nickel mine is going to be the biggest in Africa, and we know how useful nickel is to the industry, the motor vehicle industry. That's really something that is going to change the dynamics of our economy in this. Similarly, the fruit factory in Northwestern. I think this is the beginning of what the president used to say during campaigns, and in fact, it is something that is in the UPND manifesto. That we should be able to identify something in every province that is that could be developed. Like this one now, what has happened in Northwestern, the fruit factory is just the beginning. And I'm sure very soon we'll be hearing other ventures happening in other provinces, and that's part of fulfilling the campaign promises that the UPND and the president himself gave to the people of Zambia. So I really look forward to things, factories, whatever, industries developing in each and every province, depending on what they have in that province. So that's their niche, and that will be where people will get jobs, and that's where the money, people are going to make the money. The country is going to make the money. The economy is going to pick up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, you got to understand these are someone might say, oh, whoa, this is something that started in President Lungu's time. Well, it didn't happen at this rate. Okay, the rate at which the investments are coming and are being actualized is higher than President Lungu's time. Okay, Very few times did you see him talk about investments, talk about jobs, talk about creating new mines, talk about very few. In many mines and also investors had stopped pushing their investments into Zambia during the reign of the PF, because they knew that PF, if you go there to do business, the first thing they're going to ask you is a kickback. Kickback is a form of corruption. Because of corruption, corruption is a leakage in the economy. That leakage created inefficiencies in the economy. And that's why the economy was contracting. You see what I'm saying? And that's how these things are connected. Okay, corruption creates leakages. Leakages creates inefficiencies. Inefficiencies creates a negative economic growth. That's what we saw under PF. Let me go ahead and get a very quick take on the Kalene Hills fruit factory. You see, the president has made it very clear. The Zambia, this government is saying we have to have a win-win situation. Foreign direct investments and local investments. There's no one who's being left behind. So if you are a Zambian and you have the capacity to run a mine, please, by all means, approach the Ministry of Mines. Approach the Ministry of Mines and start a mine. If you have the ability to start a fruit company, like our colleagues have done in Northwestern, in Mwinilunga, please, by all means, do it. And we have so many things that's happening around. I'll tell you right now, there is also a funding that was announced. I don't know if you guys know, with a new factory, battery making factory in Zambia. I don't know if you heard that. It's a huge announcement, I think, by somebody will correct me here if I'm wrong, but is it Development Bank of Zambia? And in conjunction with another financing company, they have announced investments into a EV factory or plant in Zambia. And so when we talk about jobs, like the president said, we're talking about not only government jobs, we're talking about private sector jobs. All right? Let me go back and talk about some of the things that have come out of this. A lot of people think that President Hakainde Hichilema, other than the fight against corruption, that he has left that fight to law enforcement. People think that this man is joking about recreating the economy of Zambia. Let's talk about a little bit about the character of the president. Because this is a president that people have insulted. They continue insulting him. Sean Tembo is online every day questioning, insulting, using pseudo insults. But this president doesn't even answer them. He doesn't even answer them. Mr. Jerome, what kind of a man is a president? I mean, he's a very interesting character. He never answers to his critics like that, because his focus, what I see, is working for the people. Your reaction, Mr. Kanika?
You see, what the kind of president we have is very unique. And one thing I've loved about President Hakainde Hichilema, if you are a hard worker, you are used to work hard, you are going to make it in Zambia. There is no need of you thinking in other places, but you are going to make it in Zambia. But if you are lazy, again, you are going to have difficulties in making it in Zambia. That's the kind of a president. And when you see is a president who does not focus on useless things. You see, I was talking to someone today. You see, when you check the time of the previous administration, the headlines that we are making in newspapers, there are issues of, oh, this person has been shot. No, this person sex video. There is what and that. But look, the headlines in the new Dawn administration. All about investment opportunities. And what is needed is for someone to be a hard worker. When you check President Hakainde Hichilema was charged for treason, and he stayed in prison for 127 days. Instead of trying to revenge his arrest, but he has said, let's move on. I'm their president. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
You see, that's what he has said.
That's a huge character. That's a leader. That's a personality of a leader, a great leader. You know, I'll tell you a story. Yeah. One day I said online, I said, you know what? This man will be our Mandela. That's what I said. Yeah. I said, this man, this man will be our Mandela. People were like, oh, why? I said, let me tell you why he'll be our man. That's a figurative speech in the sense that the greatness of Zambia, the greatness of the president will be measured by how great Zambia will become by the time this man finishes with us. By the time he finishes with us, this nation will never be the same. Mr. Nkwirimba, your reaction about the character and personality of the president?
You know, I would describe the president as a visionary leader. You know, when you have a visionary, you know, they see what the country could be many years from now. And the challenge such a leader has is that there are very few people who catch such a vision. And so the hard work that he has to do is to ensure that those that are around him and the whole citizenry begin to see his vision and begin to adopt it as their own vision. And the greatness of the country with this leadership, it lies in people, you know, seeing his vision and playing their role by adopting that vision as their own. You know, I tend to think that many people, when they hear President Hakainde speak, you know, I tend to believe that many people don't believe him in the first place until they begin to see things happening.
Yeah.
And I just want to urge us as Zambians that if we lose this opportunity of this presidency, if we don't use it properly, it will be hard for us to improve this country and to improve our lives. You know, he is working hard, trying to make people see his vision. For example, just one sector where he says, you know, here's an opportunity for us. For example, the mining sector. Here's an opportunity for Zambians to run the mines, to own mines. You know, the resources are ours. Why is it that for many years we have allowed outsiders to come and get our resources, and we have been happy because our people have been employed? We have been happy because perhaps those mines did something for our communities. No, we should aim higher than that. The resources are ours. We should own these resources, and those outsiders should come and partner with us. They can bring their investment, and those outsiders should be our employees. Now, this is something that is like it's an impossible thing to do, but this is where we need a mindset. We need to have a mindset of that says we can do these things ourselves. When you talk to a lot of friends, you know, it's like when you talk about this, they say, "Oh, me, a Zambian, owning a mine, is it possible?" It is possible. Why is it not possible? So we just have to have the right mindset, knowing what we have, knowing what God has given us in this country. This country is not poor. People are poor, but the country is rich, and we need to wake up and begin to take initiatives. You know, with this environment that this president has created, what should stop us from making progress? It's our own fear. And let's deal away with that fear and begin to think strategically and join him in the vision that he has for this country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nkwilimba. Again, you are watching the Midweek Roundtable with TV Bakwetu family. We are analyzing breaking news of the week and what is happening out there. Let me bring in my sister, Linda Banks, of the Linda Banks Show right here on TV Bakwetu. I want her to just pick it up and offer your views, Linda, of what's happening. You've heard us analyze a lot of things here. We've talked about the former First Lady, the seizure of her flats. Is this a done deal? Is this case closed? What's happening? I mean, then we talked about the nickel mining. What is your take on these issues, Linda?
Good evening, Aka, and thank you so much for having me on your roundtable. It's such a pleasure. And good evening, Jerome, and Warm Panza, lovely to see you. It's been quite a marathon, a terribly exciting week, full of crazy stuff and productive stuff. And it's just mind-boggling as to where to start from. So 11 months into this Hichilema Lumango administration, and they just keep giving. I want to start from the no connection, no corruption slogan that this government is coming with. So teachers obviously have been, the list has been announced. I want to start from there, and everyone is terribly excited. And then we move on to what has been happening. When was it? Yesterday? Gosh, this week has been so packed that you don't even know when what happened. So the president, 2 days ago actually, was talking to the parastatals, and the things that he just told them, just reminding them of their responsibility, this servant-led attitude, servant-led type of leadership, so that they don't have to put themselves first, buying themselves brand new VXs, whatever that is. You guys know about cars more than we do. So that has been quite interesting. Then we move on to the flats. Is it a done deal? I personally don't think it's a done deal. I know the Patriotic Front and their surrogates are terribly excited, and as well as their lawyers, they think it's a done deal. Because if it was a done deal, Aka, they would not be maligning this lady at DEC, would they? So they are absolutely petrified. And I think it's very amateurish to come with this that on woman a day after she incredibly interrogated the former First Lady. So it's too obvious, you know, and you can tell that some people who are behind this propaganda are probably a little bit expired, if I may use that phrase, because this is very amateurish. They could have made it look a little bit more real. So I won't focus on that. Just to answer your question, I personally don't think it's a done deal. I just want to touch slightly on Honorable Tutu Anguluwe's disrespect for the police. Personally, I don't think that was ideal. And I think if the police allow citizens to treat them like that, it's going to be chaos. So I think that should be revisited. Something should be done on that. The president advocated for the rule of law, and I think something really must be done on that. So we won't focus on that. Let's focus on productive things. Kalene Hills Food Factory Limited. Aka.
Tell me about that.
Honorable Nkwilimba. This is a game changer. It's a game changer for Zambia. It's a game changer for our youths because it comes with 100% Zambian-owned business development by IDC. And what that actually entails is $150,000, not kwacha, grant from this place they are calling Musika. Yeah. And then there's a multi-fruit processing plant that has been established at the cost of 130 million in partnership with small-scale farmers. So local farmers are going to benefit. And this is like over 1,500 plus local farmers. It's so exciting that I can't get my figures out quick enough. So all this, when you have a look at all this, it's amounting to 786 indirect jobs created for the local people in that area and the surrounding areas.
Wow.
So it's terribly exciting.
Wow. Let me just explain what 100, let me explain in economics terms what 100 plus jobs mean. 180 some jobs mean. If you take 100 people and put them back into the labor force, or they enter the labor force, on average, a Zambian is supporting about 3 people. So you got to multiply 3 by 100. I'm using 100 as a conservative number. 100 by 3 is 300. Those are direct benefits to 300 people in Mwinilunga at that location. Now, at an average, the Zambian supports indirectly about 5 people. You see what I'm saying? You gotta think economics. These are people who are going to start getting a livable wage that they can use to support their children to go to good schools, that they can support to pay taxes on pay as you earn. So you have 100 more people now paying taxes to government. That increases the revenue that the government will have. And that brings me to the next question, Linda. The president announced just today that the Zambia Revenue Authority has corrected the surplus, a surplus of revenue. And he's asking the Minister of Finance to prepare what we call a supplement budget. What supplement means? The supplement is just an added on to the already existing budget. What he's asking now the minister to do is prepare a supplement budget and present it before the parliament for approval so that we can increase funding towards the fertilizer support program. Your reaction to that?
It's absolutely mind-boggling. Totally mind-boggling. We haven't seen a presidency like this since Mwanawasa. In our lifespan, all of us are in pretty much similar age groups. So that is terribly exciting. It's a game changer. It's going to change a lot of people's lives. And also there's been developmental projects, and contractors have been given a much needed boost of 22 billion, which was raised solely from financial discipline by this administration. At this rate, I personally think the opposition parties can just, all they can do is just team up, form a cooperative, and perhaps ask for some CDF money. Aka, I think that because it's right at this point.
That's violence right there.
This president is making it nearly impossible for people to exist. Now, I want to bring to your attention this gentleman called Hopewell Chinono. He's Zimbabwean, and he said something quite cardinal that has gone absolutely viral. He said, this man, referring to 887, this man is now indirectly deciding the affairs of Zimbabwe. He doesn't steal your public funds or beat you up. However, he can decide how much electricity you get a day, because obviously he's alluding to the fact that Zambia will be exporting electricity to Zimbabwe. Then he goes on to say, he also now decides, not only is he going to decide how much electricity you get a day, mind you, he will also decide how many meals Zimbabweans have a day, because now he's going to be feeding us.
Simple. And it's not just Zimbabwe. It's Malawi, it's Mozambique, it's Rwanda, it's DRC. We are creating Zambia to be a regional powerhouse.
Bread basket.
Zambia will become not only an economic powerhouse, but a regional hub for commercial business and investments. Mwinilunga, your reaction to that, to what Linda just said?
Yeah, I think. Well, you talked about the revenue that has been generated. That is really, it's huge, and it speaks volumes about accountability. I don't think this is the first time that ZRA has raised such resources. But the problem in the past has been that institutions like ZRA, ZESCO, where again there has been a huge improvement. I think right now there's a surplus of electricity. These institutions were cash cows for PF. People are lining up, they are appearing on payrolls in these institutions, and they were party cadres being paid from those institutions. What would you expect when there's that kind of reckless use of resources? But now, because there's prudence, we are beginning to see the fruit of prudence, the prudence of accountability, resources that have been realized, being declared, and are being used to increase the budget for the year. That's fantastic. That's good leadership. And this is only in about a year. What about what will happen in the next 3-4 years? I think we are poised to see greater things happening.
Awesome. Thank you. Let me just quickly bring in my brother, Joseph Nyundu, and so that he can offer his views. Nyundu, welcome, and I hope UK is okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Manduna, for bringing me in. Thank you to the panel and to the rest of the viewers. Yeah, I've been following keenly in the background. Very, very interesting. There's a lot to talk about today, but I'll be as brief as I can. Yes,
let me ask you a question on your reaction on the topics. Go ahead for now.
Yes, I think I'll start by the fruit factory, the Kalene Hills fruit factory. I think this is one of the things along the discussions we've had on this forum that I've really been excited to await to see, because what the major thing that alleviates poverty in any economy is job creation, because job creation takes care of inflation and price increase of commodities. So when you have a higher unemployment rate, you have people not having access to purchasing, and that lowers the purchasing power of the money, and that is what shrinks the revenue collection, and that's what keeps us in deficit. So jobs in any form is the best way to alleviate the lack of liquidity in the economy, the lack of revenue, and the lack of personal economy. And this factory, alongside the commissioning that the president went to do at the hydropower, it works alongside. We can't have factories running without electricity. Now, I'm saying these things in a mixed statement because I want people to understand that there's a connection between rule of law, provision of energy, and also creation of jobs. We cannot have factories without enough electricity because our factories run on electricity. Now, we have a surplus budget that the president has requested, and I want people to follow me carefully. The reason the president has asked for a surplus budget, the Zambia Revenue Authority has declared that there's a surplus in the collection of taxes. This is not magical. It's because the president started with the rule of law, fight against corruption. When there's transparency in every economy, it allows investment to flow, because investors know that money is a coward. It only goes where there is safety, peace, and political stability. I am not going to put my money in Iraq or Syria or Ukraine. I'm going to put my money in Lusaka, UK, or New York because of peace. So when the president when people are looking at the president not having even opted to revenge to the opposition for what he went through, and he opted for unity and peace, he was creating an enabling environment that is politically, socially, and economically viable to attract investment. Now, look what is going on. Wherever the president goes and comes back, within a few months or weeks, wherever he signs an MOU, factories are opening. A nickel mine is opening. These things are not a bragada economics. This is methodical. It's well planned. International cooperation. So it all comes together. It's very difficult for me to even categorize my line of discussion because there's so much economic activities that are erupting at one time. You've got so much that's going on: the factory, the electricity, the fruit processing. You've got the surplus collection from ZRA. All these put together are an indication that we have an economic political environment that is conducive and viable enough to provide jobs and grow the GDP. Now, the reason I've mentioned the GDP again, in line with electricity and everything I've mentioned, including a factory, it's because we are grappling with a national debt which sits at 37% of our annual budget. The president is clever. He knows that in as much as we signed the SDR with the world, what do you call this? The IMF. That alone is not enough. But we have to create local domestic revenue to be able to locally support our own budget. We do that, we are cutting down on borrowing. If we cut down on borrowing, what are we doing? It's a ripple effect. Aka, you know this, and you've talked about this a couple of times. It brings us back to a national budget that we can at least, the majority of it, probably 90% if possible, to aim for that. We can support it with our local domestic revenue. This is because the local economic activities, the president knows very well that if we open factories, we support the energy sector, and that creates enough environment for business to grow, the local GDP will grow itself enough to sustain the budget and cut down on borrowing. So even the funding of the education, the health sector, and all those are not going to happen automatically just from borrowing, but this is going to come from a homegrown economy. So the president has this vision at the back of the mind to say, if he can absorb a lot of youths that are waiting to get into employment and kill unemployment, get a lot of people into employment, that is going to absorb the poverty. Because you can't share poverty, you can only share value. So the president understands, he's thinking beyond 10 years of his office. He's thinking of a Zambia for the next 50 years. And that factory that is opening now is not for the 5 years to win an election. No, it is to stand the test of time, that there's local economic activity that will be happening within the country to create local revenue, kill unemployment, create jobs, and have the economy that is self-sustained. So the president is thinking beyond borrowing. He's looking at it as a visionary. And I would request citizens that we stand with this opportunity we have to have such a president that can see beyond an election. If you remember in his statement, he said very well, 2026 will take care of itself. My job is to work. This is what he said in his first statement. And if people are following very well, this is a follow-through of his words. He is not doing, if you look at everything he's doing, there's nothing to do with the election of 2026. It's not in his language. What he's doing is to create a Zambia that when he leaves office, everything just flows. The economy builds itself. The nickel mining, most of the component from there is going to be used in the production of the EV, electric vehicle batteries. What is the president? What is in the mind of the president? He can foresee.
Manufacture.
The president can foresee. The president can foresee innovation. He can foresee a comparative advantage to say Zambia sits surrounded. It's land linked, as I call it, and not landlocked. First of all, he's looking at the regional demand for what we can produce. He's looking at Congo needing food. He's looking at all our surrounding neighboring countries being the immediate market. Apart from that, he's understanding when he goes around Europe, most of Europe is driving electric cars. If we open an electric car battery factory, we are creating an environment for export in order to refill up our treasury that was depleted. Our import cover went below 6 weeks. It's at least at 2 to 3 months now. So the president is thinking beyond a narrow, perspective. He's looking at the economy in a very wider perspective.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Nyundu. That's what my colleagues, Mr. Mwinilunga, Jerome, and others were saying here. Is we have, for a moment, in the history of Zambia, since President Mwanawasa, we have now a leader that is able to think beyond himself. We have a leader that is able to think beyond the next election. We have a leader that is able to think beyond just his party. Let me bring in our guest here, our guest viewer here, to hear his view and listen to what he has to say about what's happening. Mr. Simpilo, welcome. We don't usually do this, but it's okay. Go ahead and share your views about what's happening in the country, the seizure of flats by the DEC of the former First Lady, the opening of the new mine and the nickel mine project in Mwinilunga. Go ahead, your views, sir.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, and good evening, everyone. First and foremost, the the president has done a good job. You know, looking at what is development itself. Development is a process of improving people's life across the board without jeopardizing the future generation. So the Mwinilunga project, it's a fantastic job done because it's going to create opportunities for the local people. It's going to create green jobs for the local people, and we are going to see a lot of food being processed as value addition, and that is going to improve our revenue collection as a country for export as well as for country consumption. Where local people who have resources, will have money, and be able to support their families in terms of other economic ventures, education, health. Yeah. No, the other thing that I want to mention, second thing, is that the issue of the mining nickel plant commission that has been commissioned, that is another biggest investment. Looking at the projection of where the world is moving into circular economy, green economy, um, this is going to promote a sustainable development. At the same time, the Northwestern province will be one of the major contributors to the economy, of where a lot of resources, a lot of money will be generated. And the other thing is that uh, the issue of climate change will come in, because that is the mining what is going to be created. So the government must bring in technology that is going to reduce the decarbonization issues, so that the local people are not affected by the side effects of the mining contraction. At the third thing, the issues of electrical car, the value addition from the mining, uh, electrical cars that are coming in, means that now the government will be forced to improve the road network all the way from the Ndola up to Mwinilunga. So for easy transportation of goods and other products. So for me, my recommendation is that let's turn the road from Kitwe to Mwinilunga like the way it is from Lusaka to Livingston. And in that way, a lot of people will benefit, and people should move within a period of time going to Mwinilunga to get the product and bring it to the market. And also the movement of technologies when they come from Lusaka and other things being taken to Mwinilunga, so that the local people can have information, can have technology, advanced technology to increase their production, not only in the mining sector, but also agriculture and other sectors that are interlinked. So for me, mining, nickel project commission is a plus. The fruit factory in Mwinilunga, Kalene, is going to create a lot of jobs for young people. Let the young people take advantage of this opportunity that has been created. And we need to see such things even in other provinces, not only in the Northwestern. We need to see this in the very Southern province. We need to see this thing in Eastern province. We need to see the same factor in Wapula province, so that young people are encouraged to take opportunities to create a cooperative, so that they can be able to contribute, to make this industry
thank you so much, Mr. We appreciate your comments and coming through to the program, and we are so glad that you could take your time to come on TV Bakwetu and present your views. I can see a lot of wisdom in what you have said, and definitely what you have said, I 100% support it. And thank you so much, Mr. Sempilo, again for coming through. Let me
Thank
go
you
ahead
so
to Mr. Mkwilimba. Mr. Mkwilimba, your reaction to the things that have been mentioned by our colleague, Mr. Sempilo here.
Yeah, perhaps one thing what I wanted to mention is that yes, creating jobs is important, but I think we need to begin to think beyond jobs. Some people say, a job means just over broke. Well, it may be okay for those that are earning good money, but in Zambia, people live from hand to mouth. So yes, as these jobs are being created, I think let's begin to think beyond the jobs. What else can we do apart from being employees? If we can save a bit of money, we need to begin to teach ourselves to be investors, because investment, as an investor, in a way you are above just getting a job. You are creating resources, you are employing other people as well. And let us try to become business owners, because the richest people in this world are those that own businesses, followed by those that are investing. And those who have got jobs, yes, most of us, we live hand to mouth. So yes, when these jobs are being created because the economy is improving, let's begin to find ways of us becoming investors in one way or another and business owners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to say that that point is very important, because in the USA, for instance, it is the small business owners that the largest, by far, of people who actually employ people is small businesses. The economy of the United States of America, local economy, I'm not talking about international, working together with that. Local economies are run by small scale enterprises and small businesses, corner stores, small shops, merchandise stores, and small little restaurants and retail stores. They are the backbone of the US economy. On top of that, you have huge conglomerates like Walmart and Nike and Apple and Google, and so those are built on the foundation of small businesses and small little people. And so I agree with you. We have to build viable. Now, I'm not just talking about Kantemba business here. You got to formalize your business and be able to begin to grow and become a small enterprise. It is those small enterprises. You employ 2 people. If you have 1,000 of them and each one of them employ 2 people, that's 2,000 people employment right there. And so these small businesses create middle class, create the middle class. Okay, so let's continue to actually think through those things. I agree with you. Let me go ahead and go around here to my colleagues and offer our final. I know we want to stay here all night. I know we want to continue discussing, but I think there's always time. Let's leave some for others, for tomorrow's programs and others that are coming up towards the weekend. Let me start with Linda Banks. Linda Banks, your final words on the midweek roundtable.
Well, thank you very much, Aka. My final words are just to say thank you for your service. Thank you for everyone on this panel, because I know everyone gives up their time pro bono to come here and inform, entertain, and educate the public on various aspects of the economy and all things to do with Zambia, and to our president, who was working quite tirelessly. And I must say, actually, on that point, I'm almost getting to that stage of getting concerned, because he's a workaholic. I'm someone, one of his minders, who's in charge of the vitamins, the food, the waters, making sure that he's well fed and watered, because he's working non-stop, as well as his team. none of these guys are sleeping very much. Talking to them, you know, they're constantly working. So thank you so much for their service. And I know as TV Bakwetu, we are one of their harshest critics because we want them to deliver their campaign promises to the people of Zambia. So we hold them to task. But we know that they're working. Yeah. And yeah, thank you very much. That's all I have to add. I think in regards to all the topics, you've quite adequately covered everything.
Thank you so much, Linda, for coming through, and looking forward to your next show on TV Bakwetu. Please share our page, TV Bakwetu page, and that will be primarily where we will be sharing all these public discussions and topics of interest. Share that page, follow the page, stay tuned, and make sure you get glued to TV Bakwetu, because we got very interesting topics coming, very interesting, mind-boggling, there's just so much that we're bringing to you on this broadcast and on this channel. Bonyundu, your last words.
Yeah, Tume, thank you very much again to everyone and the viewers. I'll start by my analogy to say there is nothing more profound or paramount in any country other than the citizens understanding the vision of their leader. And Zambia at the moment has been subjected to an environment which is politically, economically, and socially friendly, as opposed to the oppressive season that citizens went through for 7 years or so. So this is a recipe where we as citizens now have to realize that we have an environment that is conducive. What the president is doing is not to put people in money's pockets as handouts. The president is tirelessly creating an environment for people to think for themselves and tap into what the government is offering. CDF is one of the components that has another day to talk about. The investments that the president is pulling in, it's not only going to be, for instance, a nickel mining and leading into a car battery factory. It's not just having a factory in Zambia. That is also a component of capacity building, because then as Zambians, we are going to have this factory producing car batteries and creating and leaving that knowledge for the Zambian people, so that within that eruption of that creation of manufacturing of batteries, it's going to trigger our engineers, our universities and other institutions that produce engineering technicians to start thinking beyond the car battery. Because now we know that we're able to make a car battery. What's the next step, worker, is to think of creating other components and equipment that can run on green economy, not only vehicles. It is going to translate into even other robotic machinery, exactly. So it's not just
coming from free education products.
Exactly. So you get my line of thought. It's all the way. It's methodical, like the president said. Yes. This is a methodical approach.
Everything is connected.
Everything is connected. It's a chain. There's nothing that is narrow approached. It's a whole human body kind of structure where you have the right arm controlling the fruit factory, you have the left arm coming in with energy at the increment of the hydro at Kafueloa. You've got the rule of law, which the major thing that creates confidence in the investors. Investors are not flocking in now because Zambia is anything beyond anything. No, it's because they can see that if they came and signed a contract to manufacture car batteries and their investment is legally protected, they will have investor confidence to know that in a country where there's social order and rule of law, their business is protected. Should they have any grievance in their business, the courts are competent enough without corruption to adjudicate and give a fair justice system. So everything is interconnected. The president has this beyond the 10 years or 5 years, whichever he will rule. He sees this as a recipe to leave a foundation so that capacity is built in the Zambian citizen to have an economy owned by the people. When the economy is owned by the people, then people themselves can self-sustain and grow their economy to cut down on borrowing, to cut down on a fiscal gap growing. You understand all this, what I'm trying to say. So so I'm trying to put everything in this topic together of tonight to say the president is visionary. What I'm begging the people of Zambia is tap into the vision and take advantage of every resource that the government is providing in all forms, including the knowledge from the free education, including the knowledge from every other factory that will be set up or industry that will come into Zambia. That should be an advantage. So as Zambians, let's come together for once and realize that our unity is bigger than what divides us. That's all I can say for tonight.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Mkwilimba, your final words.
Yeah, perhaps, following up on, the president being visionary, and I would just like to appeal to, to the citizens, to ourselves, that we need to catch that vision. He has that vision, and he's creating an environment, which would help to realize that vision. And he's doing that for us. We should take advantage of this environment which is being created. In Zambia, mostly we have a mentality of wanting to be employed. Everybody is looking for jobs. There is a new Dawn government, and everybody who was in the opposition and was fighting these political battles is looking for a job in government. There are only so many jobs that are in government, but look at what he's doing. He's creating an environment in which most of those people that do not have government jobs can begin to do things that are going to employ them. So they'll be their own employers. But in this, in that scheme of thing, also the important thing is that the president himself has started fighting the bureaucracy within government. The recent meeting that he had with permanent secretaries and leaders of quasi-government institutions, when you listen to what went on there, you can see that he's seeing obstacles that could impede many people realizing the vision that he has for the country. And so I also appeal to those that have been given jobs in government, that they should realize why they have been given those jobs. They have been given those jobs so that they can serve the rest of Zambians. And one way they can serve the rest of Zambians is to ensure that, they play their role, they play, their responsibilities, of making it easier for Zambians to do business, to get title deeds for land, to do all those, but the challenge we have right now is that we still have people who are in government, perhaps those that were employed by PF, that are still impeding progress, still behaving like they are still in PF. Talk about contracts, for offering services. Some of the contracts that are still in place, they are continuing bringing some people that have been doing offering services in government in the last 7 years, because there's that rule that says you should have been doing business with government for at least for 2 years. Now, who has been dealing with business in the last 2 years? It's all PF. So where does that leave the rest of the people that we are fighting for change? Where is the change? We needed to, those guys that have been given jobs, they needed to create an environment where every Zambian, has an opportunity to employ themselves, because the government cannot employ everybody.
That's exactly right. The government cannot employ everyone. Therefore, it becomes very important and imperative that the private sector takes up the tab and begin to thrive. And that is a function of government good environment. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Mkwilimba and everyone on the team that came through. In conclusion, the midweek roundtable and TV Bucket is a place to be. Look out for the Saturday show. Look out for the for the shows to coming up, because this is where you need to be. We will bring you some of the most interactive public policy issues, issues of public interest, politics, business, and also shows that actually highlight what's going on. We are here to inform, educate, interact in a democratic dispensation. This platform is open to everyone, and those that have leaders in the public and community. You are welcome to come to TV Bakwetu and engage with us. On this note, God bless you. God bless the Republic. God bless the President of the Republic of Zambia. And may you succeed in business and employment. I thank you.